Eva Braun. Eva Braun was the mistress and later the wife of Hitler. Eva Braun and Hitler killed themselves on April 30, 1945, the day after their wedding, a decided alternative to falling into the hands of enemy troops. Eva Anna Paula Braun was born on February 6, 1912, in Bavarian city of Munich, Germany, to Frederick Braun, a schoolteacher, and Fanny Braun. Eva had two sisters, Ilse, who was 3 years old, and Gretel, who was 3 years younger. Soon after Eva's birth, World War I broke out in August 1914, and Fritz Braun was called to fight the war. Her father served as a lieutenant on the Western Front and was among those fortunate enough to survive and return home in 1918. Her parents were divorced in 1921, however, they remarried in November 1922, likely for financial reasons through grueling years of hyperinflation in Germany. As a student, Eva Braun achieved average grades and excelled in athletics. She also showed an interest in clothes and makeup. After school, she was employed as a salesperson for Heinrich Hoffmann, the official photographer of the Nazi Party. This is how Hitler and Eva Braun met. Initially a shop assistant, Eva Braun soon learned to use a camera and developed photographs. Eva Braun met Hitler at the store in 1929 when she was 17 and Hitler was 40. Hitler then was running the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Hitler gave his private secretary a task in 1930 that required secrecy and discretion. Checking out the ancestry of a 17-year-old girl he had met at a photographic studio in München, where she was working as an assistant. After completing a thorough investigation, Hitler's private secretary was able to confirm that Eva Braun did not possess a single drop of Jewish blood. From then on, Hitler regularly dropped in on her at the studio, taking her out to dinner or a film. In early 1930s, Eva Braun and Hitler became more closely involved after one of Hitler's mistress committed suicide. At that time, Hitler appeared to have been in relationship with his half-niece Gaily Robal. However, following her suicide in 1931, he grew closer to Eva Braun, who many said resembled his half-niece Gaily Robal. The exact romantic extent of Eva Braun's relationship with Hitler is still not fully known, though Eva Braun expressed deeply devotion to the relationship. The correspondence between Hitler and Eva Braun was later destroyed upon Hitler's order, with limited diary entries found from Eva Braun. It is reported that Hitler was often an oppressive presence and devoted the bulk of his time to the development of the Nazi Party. Eva's father was deeply opposed to his daughter's involvement with Hitler. In 1932, Eva attempted suicide by shooting herself in the chest. She shot herself in chest just to get Hitler's attention. After her recovery, the two became lovers and she began staying at his München apartment overnight often. Because Eva had learned how to take photographs, she began working as a photographer for Hoffmann, which allowed her to travel with Hitler's entourage taking pictures of Nazi Party. Though they were in love, Eva Braun and Hitler were not spotted together at public events. Instead, they preferred to remain apart as Hitler believed that his popularity would decrease if he married to her. In fact, Germans did not know about the romantic relationship between the two until after the war. Eva Braun and Hitler kept their relationship a secret. Eva Braun did, however, attend the Nazis' November Convention in 1935. Working as a photographer under Hoffmann, however, Eva Braun was allowed to travel with Hitler's entourage without arousing suspicion. In order to appeal to his female voters, Hitler felt it imperative that he be presented as a single to the German public. As such, his relationship with Eva Braun remained a secret and the pair was very rarely seen out together, with the extent of their relationship only revealed after the war. In 1935, Eva attempted suicide again by taking an overdose of sleeping pills. Based on accounts and fragments of her diary, she felt great despair at Hitler making insufficient time for her and their relationship. Hitler funded an apartment for Braun as a result of the second attempt. She ate sleeping pills in 1935, results in Hitler starts paying more attention to her. In 1936, Eva moved to Hitler's house in the Bavarian Alps where she spent her time enjoying activities such as sunbathing, skiing, swimming, and gymnastics. Despite being a long-term partner of one of Europe's most powerful political players, Eva Braun is said to have been uninterested in politics and was not even the member of Nazi Party. On one occasion in 1943, however, it is noted that she suddenly took an interest in the politics of Hitler's total war economy when it was suggested that the production of cosmetics and luxuries be banned. Eva Braun is said to have approached Hitler in high indignation, prompting him to speak to Albert Speer, his Minister of Armaments. The production of cosmetics was instead halted, rather than being all-out banned. In 1944, she was allowed to join official functions with greater ease after her sister Gretel married high-ranking SS commander Hermann Figolin, as she could be introduced as Frigolin's sister-in-law. By late 1944, both the Red Army of USSR and the Western Allies were advancing into Germany, and by 23 April 1945, the Red Army surrounded Berlin. When Hoffmann's eldest daughter suggested that Eva Braun to go into hiding after the war, she reportedly replied, "Do you think I would let him die alone? I will stay with him up until the last moment." She followed through this and joined Hitler in April 1945. At the end of World War II, Eva traveled by Hitler's side against his order and as an act of loyalty. Towards the end of war, Eva Braun could have left Hitler, but she instead joined him at his bunker in Berlin. For her show of loyalty, Hitler agreed to marry Eva Braun. After 16 years of being together in secret, Hitler and Eva married each other in a civil ceremony on 29 April 1945. Their wedding was held in an underground bunker with their visitors consisting of their inner circles, a handful of Nazi loyalists, Joseph Goebbels and Martin Bormann, both Nazi officials whom Hitler was fond of, were witness to the civil wedding. During this time, Hitler was losing the war. Considering his personality, he resolved to commit suicide to avoid the embarrassment of him being captured. Eva Braun agreed to die with him. At 1 p.m. on 30 April 1945, the newlyweds bid their goodbyes to the member of Inner Circle. On the afternoon of the same day, it was approximately 3 p.m. when several people heard a gunshot. The lifeless body of Eva and Hitler were found side by side on a small sofa. The two had committed suicide. It was later revealed that Eva had bitten into a cyanide pill and Hitler had shot himself in the right temple with his pistol. Their bodies were then taken and burned in the garden of Reichschancellery as instructed by Hitler in his will and testament. Eva, who was married to Hitler for just less than 40 hours, died at the age of 33. The fact that she was a companion and later wife of Adolf Hitler remained a well-guarded secret until their death. Following Eva Braun's death, the rest of her immediate family lived long after the war had concluded, including both her parents and her sister. Her sister, Gretel, too a member of Hitler's inner circle, gave birth to a daughter just a month later, who was named Eva in her aunt's honor. Many of the personal photographs of Hitler were actually taken by Eva. Throughout the Second World War, Braun lived at the Berghof and kept capturing most of the surviving color photographs and films of Hitler that we have today. The footage captured by Braun was forgotten in the aftermath of World War II, and it took the Americans nearly half a century to discover it. Surprisingly, the footage was in color instead of black and white footage standard in those days. While identifying many of those in Hitler's inner circle, these documents also uncovered much about the personal life of the dictator himself and the woman who secretly lived in his shadow over a decade. Eva Braun, a 17 years old photographer's assistant who rose to join Hitler's inner circle. Braun chose to live and die by Hitler's side, leaving history with one of the most valuable pieces of evidence into the personal lives of the Nazi Party leaders. Thank you.